forgotten to check in online. And it's that element of feeling cheated that reduces trust and that starts to then erode trust in the whole business proposition.
Ryanair say this year's fares will be 20% lower on average than last year's. But to achieve that, and they make no bones about it, they've kept on ramping up the costs of some of their extras. The payment handling fee has almost trebled since 2006, and the charge for baggage in the hold is just about to go up from £20 to £30 for the first bag and from £40 to £70 for the second. But even so, Ryanair's fares remain mostly cheaper than their rivals. Once air travel was for the few, now it's for the many, a revolution which Ryanair's taken to new levels.
I love Ryanair, basically. I've tried to go to a country every single month. Started off in January, went to Poland, went to Krakow. February I went to Sweden, I went to see Stockholm. That cost me about £20. May I went to Pisa in Italy. After that I went to Brussels in Belgium. There's no way I'd be able to afford to go and see all the places I have without the special offers that Ryanair have had on.
But how can Ryanair afford to sell tickets not just cheap, but sometimes at bargain basement prices, and still make a profit of hundreds of millions of euros? Here's our helpful holiday video to show how Ryanair drive down costs remorselessly at every stage.
Stockholm Vaskers, that's us. We're about to experience for ourselves the money-saving magic of Ryanair.
Fresh airport air with Ryanair. It's so bracing. Ryanair don't use those covered walkways that connect to the plane if they can possibly avoid it. They don't want to pay the rent, and it can slow things down. Ryanair planes arrive and turn round ready for takeoff in record time, 25 minutes. Their planes work harder than the opposition's.
Ryanair's first flight goes out typically from an airport at 6:30 in the morning. Their last flight comes back at often around midnight, and therefore, the aircraft's maximising its time in the air.
So they're sweating the assets?
Absolutely.
And it's the same on the plane.
The seats don't recline. There's no seat bag pocket in the seat in front of you, and the emergency instructions are simply pinned on the seat. Everything saves weight, saves money. Economy class ticket, economy class plane.
And the food and drink on board are nice little earners. 20% of Ryanair's revenues come from so-called ancillaries. Sandwich, £4.50. Yes, £4.50. Coffee, ready for this? £2.70. The toilets are about the only thing on board that you can use for free. And Adair is still talking about charging for them. Ryanair's cabin crew work partly on commission. A crew member, but not on that flight, talked to us in contravention of the company's rules about the pressure on them to sell.
The main concern is their sales, and by the end of the day, if we don't reach the target, we have to have a meeting with them and explain what happened. Why didn't we reach the target? In the end, it's our fault.
He's been working for Ryanair for over a year, but they still haven't taken him on the staff. He's hired through an agency, just like around a half of Ryanair's cabin crew.
So you're going to have to try harder?
Yes. That's what they tell us every time we have a meeting, that you haven't reached your targets yet, so we're not going to be able to give you a contract.
He paid €2,000 to train. No other UK or Irish airline does that. Ryanair say they want appropriately qualified staff.
We are numbers. We are money factories for them.
You have arrived on yet another on-time flight. Last year, over 90% of Ryanair flights landed on time, beating every other European airline.
They do have an enviable punctuality and safety record. We were 20 minutes early, which was lucky because Stockholm Västerås Airport is actually 110 kilometers away from Stockholm.
The nice thing about flying Ryanair, it's a sort of bonus really, is you don't just have the pleasure of flying with them, but then you have the pleasure of the journey from the place they take you to the place you actually want to get to.
But they choose those faraway airports for good reason. Because they have little traffic, their charges are cheap. And because they're uncongested, it's easier to turn round planes really fast. And the new business Ryanair brings can transform an airport and gives the airline huge bargaining power.
Ryanair play off different airports and say, well, we actually have a number of potential new bases that we'd like to operate from. You will have to give us the best deal in terms of effectively bidding for our aircraft to be based at your airport.
And Ryanair aren't afraid to pick up sticks and take their business away again if they don't get the deal they want to stay. In Sweden, we went to meet the boss of Malmö Airport. They hugely benefited by Ryanair's arrival and knew what they stood to lose when it came to their renegotiation in 2007.
We are talking about this amount of 250,000 passengers, which is valuable for, I would say, almost any airport.
And Ryanair wanted a special deal because that's how Ryanair do business.
I wouldn't call it a special deal, but everyone is requesting different kind of discounts, and we were not prepared to approach that level of discount. We just offered them a deal, and they said no to that deal.
Ryanair didn't compromise. They didn't even blink. They just took off. Much the same thing happened recently to Manchester.
Ryanair will scrap 9 of its 10 routes from the city because the airport won't lower its charges.
Manchester Airport's managing director, Andrew Cornish, actually went a little further. Ryanair made us an offer we could refuse, he said. We're not prepared to prostitute ourselves to have the market trashed. Airports, planes, cabin crew, even its own pilots, Ryanair extracts maximum value from them all.
BBC want to know why Ryanair can sell our seats so cheaply. Right. And I say it's because the pilots work for nothing.
In fact, they pay them well and promote them young, but they expect their money's worth. We went to meet a Ryanair captain, once again talking to us without the boss's permission.
The company does not respect or give dignity towards its pilots, its cabin crew, or any of its service partners.
In the morning, the company allows pilots 45 minutes before takeoff to prepare and file all their flight plans for the day. They may have 6 flights ahead of them.
There's no other airline I know that will plan 6 flights in 45 minutes. And in many airports, you still have to actually pass through security as well and go through all the security checks. It's a very, very limited amount of time, and you cannot do it in 45 minutes.
Complete rubbish, say Ryanair. It can easily be done in 15.
Generally, we're there an hour to an hour and 15 minutes before.
Oh, I see. So what you mean is you're doing it in your own time?
Yes, yes.
But that means you're helping to pay for Ryanair to run its brilliantly low-cost operation.
You could look at it like that, yes.
In one respect, his experience as a Ryanair captain is very much like ours as passengers.
No food or drink is provided for Ryanair pilots by the company. Water itself used to be provided in Ryanair. We used to all receive 6 2-litre bottles of water on board the aircraft, 1 for each crew member, 1 spare. That no longer happens.
Why?
Because the culture of the company is there to drive down costs no matter what the impact is to the employee or to the passenger.
To keep their staff costs down, around half their pilots are hired indirectly through agencies. Ryanair don't recognise trade unions.
Give me a word association for O'Leary.
A bully.
Ryanair say that's his opinion. Their employees enjoy full legal rights and they're creating up to 1,000 new jobs each year. The pilot has no complaint about the planes he flies. Ryanair have one of the youngest fleets in the business, and surprise, surprise, they got their Boeing 737s at a very good price.
I wouldn't even tell my priest what discount we got off a Boeing aircraft. Some things will be forever secret.
But if we don't know how low the price was, we know how Ryanair got it down. Spin back to 2002, the year after 9/11, a perfect buyer's market, with other airlines cancelling or delaying orders. Boeing had supplied Ryanair before and badly wanted their business again.